The Sometimes Relevant, Always Talking Football podcast, episode 3. Today we're going to be giving our reaction to the weekend results and talking about one piece of gossip. Ryan, a good weekend of football for Chelsea?
No. No, dreadful. Yeah, performance was kind of reminiscent of how it's been all season. There have been signs of improvement, and it just went. I think it's one step forward and about 300 back. Was actually kind of most concerning is that if this was the game that was supposed to be the one where Josie might lose his job, if you saw a United team, I'm sure they would have come out and played well, but they didn't. Liverpool, by much the better team, and they fully deserve to win. Yeah, there you go.
We all saw the match. James, what was your analysis?
Liverpool actually won a match, so my analysis was more like fucking hell. But no, I think Chelsea played poorly, but Liverpool capitalised okay. Continued to score a couple of decent goals. He actually proved he's still alive, which was always pleasing. Benteke scored an easy goal, which was poor defending, but it's not gonna damage his confidence, put it that way. So I'm pleased with that goal. I think Liverpool played better. I think it was another small step in the right direction. There's still a long way to go for Liverpool. From a Chelsea perspective, obviously it's worrying, especially when every time they lose, more speculation and it's all them in the back pages. I mean, they can't get away from their problems right now. So for Liverpool, a good one. For Chelsea, everything that's bad is a disaster right now.
So let's talk about the major moments. I guess the first one to pick out is the fact that Philippe Coutinho's first goal was scored after the added time in the first half. Did you think there was anything wrong with that, Milky?
Well, I mean, I remember United having a similar decision years ago, and obviously Sir Alex Ferguson came out wrongly, and Jose mentioned it in his post-match presser. But you can't really. It's Chelsea have had maybe some questionable decisions against them, whether you believe it or not, regarding the FA and post-match decisions. But I don't think you can't go into a season and game after game after game and sort of just complain about decisions going your way. You play to the whistle, as far as I'm concerned, and if it went 2-3, it went 30 seconds over. I know the goal was scored at that point, but I don't think you gain anything by complaining about it, and I don't think in this instance, I don't think it warrants why Chelsea lost the game 3-1.
Yeah, and obviously Lucas should also have been sent off, definitely. He had 2 blatant yellow card offences. The second one went unpunished. Yeah. Mourinho was up in arms, comically up in arms.
Yeah.
And after that point, I think your players just went to that headspace where everything's against them. And unlike some other teams where that's a strength, I think that's an incredible weakness in your team. What do you think, James?
Honestly, on the first point, because I didn't say anything about the Coutinho one overtime, yeah, you played for the whistle, and that's Chelsea's fault more than the referee's fault or the fourth official's fault. And I remember matches ending before the minutes were up and complaining about that, particularly the 2007 Champions League final. I think that's worse than playing slightly over. In regards to the Lucas one, I think it's a 50-50 whether it's a second yellow, myself. And to be honest with you, I think if you're Chelsea, you just have to get on with it. At that point, you're 1-1. Nothing's a disaster yet. You've missed out the incident that could have harmed Chelsea at the moment, with the Costa kicking as well, which happened before that. Regardless of what you think, a lot of people would say that has been a red card from what I've read and heard over the weekend since the match. And to be honest with you, if they had just played and kept playing, or kept at least defending sufficiently, they may not have lost the game, but they just collapsed from a point where they felt a player should have been sent off. And if you collapse like that, it's just unprofessional.
See, the interesting thing about that, James, is that I've got 2 questions for you. Well, not questions, but sort of trying to respond to the arguments you just made. Firstly, you discussed the Matic one with me a couple of weeks ago, or a week ago, or whatever, and that was a definite red card. Now, as far as I'm concerned, he got sent off for 2 what I'd call professional fouls, where basically you just Bodge play off the ball. Just clear professional foul. Now Lucas and I believe it was someone else and Khan, Emre Can, yeah. They both had numerous fouls in that game, like numerous. Like kept on doing it, and they weren't punished. Then they got a yellow, and then they still weren't punished. And like you were lucky not to get a few incidents there.
You were lucky not to cost
the Costa thing, just to talk about that. Yeah, he kicked out a bit. Whether it's a red or it was obviously a red, but that was one incident. That was one isolated incident where he should have been sent off for.
And that
having foul after foul after foul after foul after foul.
Yeah, but I don't look. When you play football and you're a defensive midfielder, sometimes your job is to do the dirty work, and sometimes you give away fouls. You don't give a yellow card for every single foul that happens in the match. The reason Lucas wasn't given a second yellow was because Emre Can was covering him. If Lucas hadn't have tackled him, the likelihood is Emre Can would have got the ball off him anyway. Because that's why he wasn't given a second yellow.
Yeah, and
what I can see of that, and that's fair enough. And all you can ask is for consistency from referees.
Exactly, and I understand that
point. Clattenburg gave.
I understand that point, and I've heard pundits go the opposite way. And an interesting pundit, I can't remember who it was. He said last week against West Ham, against Liverpool, what's his name? Clattenburg gave his discretion he used his discretion to decide, I want to keep the game flowing. I want to keep 11 men on the pitch. I'll just tell him to calm down, and I won't send him off, right? Matic against West Ham, he didn't use his discretion. Matic got sent off for 2 professional fouls. So where is the consistency?
Matic made more than 2 fouls.
Where is the consistency? How can you say that Matic deserved to be sent off and Lucas didn't? Because they're very much the same sort of incident. They're very much like, Lucas made 2 or 3 professional fouls in the same sort of position, playing the same way, and Matic is exactly the same. So I think this is the thing that annoys, like, maybe the Chelsea hierarchy. They're annoyed with this, or annoys Chelsea fans at the moment. Right, I'm not saying there is a conspiracy. I'm just putting that there, but I do think there is an inconsistency with decisions, not just for Chelsea, for other clubs as well. You can't go and say, oh yeah, I'm gonna rescind Gabriel's red card, but I'm gonna, make sure that Costa's out, and then oh yeah, I'm gonna fine Arsenal 45,000 for not controlling their players, but I'm gonna fine Chelsea 50,000 or 55,000 or whatever it was. It's the lack of consistency which annoys fans these days.
But by the end of the day, you're looking at this and you're looking at all the decisions against Chelsea. There have been decisions for you this season, i.e. that Costa one, but also look at the other.
If I can just interject before you carry on, James. With the Costa decision, it's been reported that Mark Clattenburg actually saw Costa kick him out. He didn't think it was a foul, apparently, although I thought it was a red card, Stonewall red card, and he's definitely not going to get any retrospective action against him. Anyway, you carry on.
Well, I don't think he should have retrospective action against him because I think like my opinion on the Lucas possible. I think again it comes down to a 50-50, and I think if you're after the match and it's not 100% clear, you shouldn't take retrospective action on the player. So I think it would be overly harsh to give Costa retrospective action. However, I do agree with some people that have weapons say it could have been a red card. It definitely could have been a red card. And again, with Lucas, it could have been a second yellow. What I'm saying is, comes down to it, you try, as a referee, I think you've got to aim to try and keep 11v11. As long as you can keep 11v11, as long as nothing is warranting that second yellow or that first yellow as well, you can do it. Now, Lucas and Emre Can, just like Matic, play in the defensive midfield role where they are bound to make 5, 6, 7 fouls in a match. Because that's the position they play and that's the job they do. And Matic may have got unlucky against West Ham, although I do remember his second yellow card being a blatant yellow. It was the first one that was more doubtable from what I remember of it.
Yeah, but even in any case, what we're discussing here is that Matic got sent off for very similar incidents to what Lucas didn't get sent off. Well, I'm talking about the inconsistency with decision making. Like, surely, I am not going to pretend that the referees' jobs are easy. I know they've got a terribly difficult job, and I wouldn't like to do it. However, I do think that if you're going to be like, oh well, this player I feel shouldn't get sent off because even though he's made 5 or 6, 7 professional fouls, or he's made fouls that have warranted a free kick, I'm not going to send him off because I don't want to ruin the game, right? But then another referee decides, no, this player needs to get sent off because he's made 1 or 2 professional fouls. I just think there's not an inconsistency with decision making, and I think some of the retrospective decisions, like the Gabriel Costa one, are driving me mental. I keep on trying to think why, how can you punish?
The Gabriel one was not a proud moment in the history of the Football Association. Let's be
and you've got even stuff like, I know Jose Mourinho is a dick in the media, like just a douchebag, right? However, like I've seen other managers say stuff like that and not get anything. Arsene Wenger, weak and naive.
Arsene Wenger's made some comments in the past, but not on a consistent basis, like Mourinho, and that worked in his favour.
Yeah, but I know it shouldn't work. I know it doesn't work in his favour. But if a manager is bringing the game into disrepute, that's when he's supposed to get charged with something, or even talked about, or warnings. But Arsene gets nothing. Look,
you're not going to get anything if every time you play, you are simply complaining about the referee for slight decisions.
No, because that's what's happening with Jose. Every time he comes out, he gets something. He gets
because it's nearly every game at the moment, and it's the way he says it. It's the way it's perceived. Do it quietly. Do it behind closed doors. The worst thing about it is that when he doesn't, and to be honest, I'm just seeing the Matic second yellow card here, but when he doesn't, when he just decides to say nothing, he also makes it embarrassing in the way that he does it. And I do think there are some issues with Jose Mourinho right now. There are some issues, and you can't get away from that.
Okay.
Let's hang on. Let's give a final point of this. I'm just going to read his quotes from after the match, Jose Mourinho. I thought they were very interesting. We'll leave our comments on this match on this point. So this is a quote. I can't express my feelings in any way at all. You are not just here to interview me. You are also here to see the game. What I see from my players was good until the moment they felt it was impossible to do better. The fans are not stupid. I don't need to tell them anything. They know how much better and the players are trying. They know why they are getting bad results. The fight goes on, but sometimes there are fights very impossible to win. You go to a fight with different ammunition. I can play against any team or manager. Right, now my problem with that is he's saying that because of the referee, or he's implying because of the referee's decision in that match, that it was impossible for Chelsea to win the match. And I think that is capital bullshit.
It was still 11v11, and they still had arguably the most talented players on the pitch. They had the best.
But the main thing, James, is they were playing awfully. The Benteke goal, the third goal that Liverpool scored, was dreadful. It was comical. He had about 10 minutes on the ball. He just had to walk past Cahill and Terry to slide in. I mean, it's
walked past him. He positioned himself to get the ball between them, and they just didn't move.
No,
but it was awful defending.
He was at snail's pace. He was not. You can't say Benteke was running through that box with blistering pace, and somehow did this skill which took it past away from Gary Cahill. He lit with the ball.
As a Liverpool fan, I'm just pleased he scored it because it won't affect it. It's not negatively going to affect Benteke. It will maybe negatively affect Cahill and Terry, but that's not my problem as a Liverpool fan. It was a poor goal to concede, but at the same time, so was not playing to the whistle really well enough for the Coutinho first goal. I think all 3 goals you could look at defensive errors from Chelsea if you're a Chelsea fan. Just as a first Chelsea goal, the Chelsea goal in that match was awful defending from Liverpool's part.
I thought that was just class though. But
Mourinho was ball watching.
Yeah, well, I think on the quotes from the game, I watched the BBC post-match interview, the BT post-match interview, and I also watched the post-match press conference. And it was, even when Jose doesn't say anything, he still causes some sort of reaction. Everything to him, I think it comes down to like what's kind of wrong with him as a manager. Everything he does is chaotic. Like, he always seeks a reaction. He always tries to create this atmosphere where it's like we're being has happened to us. Like something is against us, and it's I don't think it's healthy for a club, personally. But
I
think the points, the quotes sort of highlighted. I don't know whether the idea of ammunition was talking about refereeing decisions or whether it was actually talking about whether players. I don't know, because like Kennedy coming on in that game, like I rate Kennedy to be a good young player, but against Liverpool at home, were we drawing at that point or losing? Like it seems a bit strange.
I did notice.
Yeah, let's leave it there and move on to the other matches. So James, what was the biggest surprise of the weekend for you?
I don't think that was really massively a surprise. You'd expect Arsenal to edge past Swansea, perhaps, and you'd expect, 3-0 was big. Arsenal are on huge form right now, but as we know with Arsenal, the problem with Arsenal is that they can screw it up right at the end. Then you got Manchester United, who are apparently, from what I've heard, dominated by Crystal Palace generally in the game. Crystal Palace missed a good chance at the end as well, I hear. And again, Manchester United Arsenal. They're scoring goals against good teams. Manchester United are failing to score goals against good teams, and they 0-0 with Middlesbrough and 0-0 with Crystal Palace in the space of a week. That's got to worry a Manchester United fan.
It does.
Man City also did well, but in controversial circumstances.
Well, actually, I watched the highlights of the match today. I think they got lucky with that. To be honest, I think Norwich deserved a point.
Man City were the better team, but Norwich defended well and were resilient. They were unlucky with that handball decision by the referee. And then obviously Man City had another penalty, which what you missed on Match of the Day was apparently there was a bit of a scuffle for who was going to take that penalty that was subsequently missed.
By Kolarov.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, as a Liverpool fan, James, you must have been delighted to see Everton put 6 past Sunderland.
Piss off. Sunderland just can't defend. I don't think it says much about. It's like Liverpool putting 3 past Chelsea, and it's like Arsenal putting 3 past. Well, Arsenal do have a great attack, but I don't think Everton are gonna score 6 goals again this season. Sunderland are abysmal, and Sam Allardyce needs to sort them out, and I think that's more the talking point there.
And if memory serves, all of us thought West Ham would beat West Ham away. What do you think went wrong, Milky?
I don't know. Really, I didn't get to see the game, so I couldn't really give you any information regarding that. But I'm glad. Obviously, actually no, I shouldn't be glad, should I? Because aren't Watford near the lower half of the table?
Yeah, they are. Watford are currently in 11th, Chelsea 15th.
11th, are they?
Yeah, Watford are 11th on 16 points. Chelsea are 15th on 11.
We're 5 points away from them now. So,
Watford
I'm disappointed with that result.
on the league last season.
Kind of need the good teams, or well, not the good teams, but West Ham, Crystal Palace, Leicester to keep winning.
Did you see Bilic afterwards was very upset by the performance as well? I read.
Yeah, he said they deserve to lose.
They did have a red card as well in that match, if memory serves me right too. And then I think if you want to look at what's going wrong at teams, you've got to look at Bournemouth as well. I mean, it's not that they're a bad team. They're not playing. It's more the fact that obviously they're going into matches and they get hammered half by half. Apparently in the second half they were better yesterday, but Bournemouth need to do something in January if they're going to stay up with all the injuries they've got. Bournemouth have got to worry. Whereas if Watford's going in bed against West Ham, have you seen Watford's defensive record? It's insane for a team that's just come up.
Yeah, it's very good. Right, unless you've got any other points, should we continue?
Yeah.
How are the points in the weekend?
Okay, so our next bit is our gossip pick of the week, which is based on this video clip, which I'm going to play now.
Let me tell you what I know on the Chelsea story. My information comes from a Chelsea first-team player. The information was actually passed to me by a football contact. I was told that Jose Mourinho's relationship with many of these players is at rock bottom. I was told they're fed up with the way he's been dealing with some of them. fed up with his outbursts. I was told that his relationship, particularly with Eden Hazard, was under immense strain. Here's a staggering quote. One player said recently, "I'd rather lose than win for him." Now, that last quote may well have been said in the heat of the moment, but it perhaps gives an insight into the mood of some of the players. I'd rather lose than win for him.
Right, now, my initial reaction to that is followed. Right, first and foremost, footballers are professional sportsmen. Like, even if they don't like the manager, they're still paid by the club, and in this case, paid by Chelsea. So they've got to give everything. Fans have paid there to come and support them. They've got to play to their maximum, regardless of whether or not they like the manager. Right, what are your thoughts, Milky?
I think we spoke about this the other day. I'm in two minds. Okay. Firstly, a couple of weeks ago, I was taking a very similar view to you. I was outraged at team performances. I was outraged with the effort put in by the players. However, it's not the first time we've heard of this. It's not just Chelsea now. There's been many clubs in the past 5, 6, 7 years, maybe more, who have suffered similar situations where the players just for some reason don't play for the manager. You've got David Moyes, you've got Kenny Dalglish for Liverpool, you've got Pellegrini at one point, I think, for City, or well, it seemed as if there were struggles. Probably Mancini and Mark Cute before him. And Chelsea, it's happened many times over the years. You've got Scolari, you've got Andre Villas-Boas, you've got all these top managers who've done well in other clubs, but we've never really stuck with a manager for it. And I don't know if you call us sticking with the manager now, but we are like 15th in the table, 5 points from like 11th place, and we've still got the manager in charge. And and whilst I think you should stick with the manager at all costs, do you get rid? And this is my question to you guys: do you stick with the team and sack the manager, sack one man, or do you sell half of your talented players or more and stick with the manager?
Well, if I can give a quick answer first, James. Sorry.
Go for it.
I'm in two minds on this because one, if a group of players aren't willing to play for a manager, I think they're no good. I think players have to play for the manager no matter what. It's been well documented that Cristiano Ronaldo hated Mourinho, but he still scored like 50 goals in each season he played for him. I mean, like, and on the other point though, if the fractures between Mourinho and the squad are so strong, then you think maybe he has to go, else it's not going to get better. Is it irreparable? We just don't have enough inside information to know. Anyway, on to you, James.
I don't think Hazard is a Mourinho player anyway, because I don't think Chelsea ever really had stars. They were just this really good team full of very, very, very good players, but not like ones that were going to be in the top 3 in the Ballon d'Or when Mourinho did his first spell at Chelsea. On from that, I do think I think, for instance, you're talking about players not playing for their managers recently. David Moyes is a good example, although players were apparently very upset to see Mancini leave City. And Dalglish leave Liverpool. But Brendan Rodgers, ever since he's left, have you seen the players that have come out and said, he didn't treat
Moreno,
for instance, and Moreno and Markovic. I'm sure at some point we'll hear more. Maybe Emre Can, he played me out of position, or Mario Balotelli, or.
I mean, the quote from Moreno was deep in anger at Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. And if that sounds like that's the sort of thing, possibly going on at Chelsea right now.
I mean,
you need to look at it. Liverpool decided to sack the manager, but then the manager was not of the status of Jose Mourinho.
Yeah, but the major concern for me, and I read some guys' tweets the other day, and it kind of brought it over to me. I mean, how do you take a team who win the league and everything is rosy to this? I mean, we're not talking about a minor few bad results, or the chance of coming 5th or 4th or falling out of the top 4. We're talking we're 15th. We've gone from title favourites, and we were title favourites at the start of the season, to this.
It's inarguably the worst title defence in Premier League history.
Yeah, exactly. Closer to the relegation zone than like 8th. So in two minds. I'm in two minds. Obviously, I would be. But there was this guy's tweets that I was reading, and he was like talking about, it's almost as if there's like a cancer in the club, and like Mourinho thrives on chaos. He creates this it's us v them attitude, and at the moment it's all well and good when it's like people inside the club against everyone outside, but what seems to have happened is it's sort of like seeped inside the club, and everyone, it's like a civil war. Everyone is at like everyone. It's created like little sections of groups of people, like we're with Mourinho and we're not with Mourinho, and it's chaotic. And you look at other managers, like Klopp as an example, and pretty much every other manager, and they sort of bring, I wouldn't say happiness, but a positive outlook. And Jose Mourinho never gives a positive outlook, ever. He never has. You look at what he's done this season, like double substituting a player. How can you do that to that player? That is embarrassing.
Wasn't that Matic?
Yeah, Matic was like one of our best players last season. Like you talk about Ruben Loftus-Cheek, who I consider to be one of the best young players that Chelsea have, who has been consistently performing at for the under-21s and all that. Mourinho said some very nice things about him, but then says, "Oh yeah, we're going to play him for a couple of games," and he gets 45 minutes subbed off. And he's like constantly berated him. And we talk about Hazard last season, our best player. This season has turned to absolute dogshite. He cannot do anything. In that game against Liverpool, I can't really remember him touching the ball.
Yeah, and he was on for over 50 minutes, and he did nothing in that time.
He played one pass badly. I remember that into the box when he should have done better with it.
Yeah, my opinion on it though, when it comes to motivating players, Mourinho seems to only have one mode, and that's brute force.
Yeah, and I mean, we talk about I've spoken to James about this on occasions. The brilliance of Jose Mourinho used to be that he create club players, a team that just adored him. And the players would die for him on the pitch. They would jump in front of every ball, block every tackle, go flying into every ball and try different things and keep on going no matter what. Now that is Jose Mourinho's strength, right? Now when that's not there, what do you do? Because that is the reason why Jose Mourinho is successful. At the moment, the players are not jumping in front of every ball. The players are not going for every tackle. The players aren't closing down. Hazard isn't willing to drop back and defend. And when you've got those issues, when the players don't want to do what Jose says, it's not going to... When is it going to get better? When?
Well, you got a good point, but one real question is, do you think Jose Mourinho Mark 1, the first time he was at Chelsea, was a better manager than Real Madrid Mark 2, and do you think his Real Madrid experience damaged him to an extent?
I'll give a go with that answer first. I think a key thing to mention in both the Real Madrid jobs and now Chelsea are his relationship with the press. Towards the end of his, pretty much throughout his entire Real Madrid career, he had an awful relationship with the Spanish press. And when he came back here and proclaimed himself the happy one, he said he had a great relationship with the press here. But I think that is degraded to such an extent. I think recently, after that incident with the two students who were following him and videotaping him, he said they'd, I quote, moved on to a different level of relationship now. That he was no longer going to treat them with respect because they hadn't done the same. I think that's when that happens to Mourinho, when he falls out with the press, I think him losing his job is near. That's my opinion.
Does seem that way. What about you, Milky?
Well, I think, I mean, I don't know if you saw the post-match press conference.
I did, yeah.
And even in the post-match interview, they were probing him for questions. They wanted him, almost they know that Jose Mourinho is on the knife edge in terms of bans from stadium bans and all of it. But they were still probing him, and he was like, "No, I can't do it. I can't do it. What do you think? What do you think? How do you think we played? Do you think he should have been sent off? Because he literally can't say anything now. And I think it's actually, I think the press are a large part to blame. The press ask the questions.
Their job is to ask the questions about anything controversial in a football match.
Yeah.
That is their job, regardless of the manager.
Mm.
Yeah, but I think what Mourinho should say is because he is, and I think it's a fact that he is treated differently by the FA than other managers. I think if he'd have said, I think Lucas should have got sent off or whatever, I think he would have got fined. So I think what he should have just said is, if I answer that question, I will get fined, so I'm not going to answer it. End. And then then he should have said, I'm not going to answer any other questions about on that topic. Ask me a different one.
Or just answer the question in a fairly respectful way. Just say, I'm not sure what went on, but in my opinion, that was a second yellow. The referee saw it differently. That's fine. Next question.
Yeah, but that's what I think he tried to do when he came into that into the post-match interview. I was like shocked. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. He was just like, nothing. Like he just kept on repeating that he wasn't really going to comment on anything really.
You'd make a bloody good politician.
Yeah, and like I don't know. I thought that was kind of a good move on his part. But he mentioned one interesting thing. He said the fans aren't stupid. Now I don't know if that means, you know, it's the referees, or I don't know if that means that he's.
I think what he meant by that is that the fans know that they've lost the match because the referees made bad decisions. But I don't. Well, you're a Chelsea fan, Ryan. Do you think you lost the game because of the referees' decisions?
No. We lost the game because after 25 minutes, after about 15 minutes, we let Liverpool have the ball. We played our traditional, which I don't think works when you've got shit defending. Basically, we're going to let the other team have the ball, sit deep, counter, and try and get another goal, which worked all throughout last season, apart from against PSG in the Champions League. And Liverpool, at first they found it hard. I don't think they were really confident. But as the game went on, the more they had the ball, the better they got.
You were talking about
the goal. Forgetting the whole 35 seconds or whatever it was. They scored the goal, and as soon as they scored the goal, I knew that Chelsea were going to lose the game. I knew we were going to, because I want to see how close it was to in terms of minutes scored as the Southampton game, because it was reminiscent of the Southampton game. It was so similar.
Well, so you think your team turns off just before halftime, for instance, and then something goes against them in the second half, or possibly and they just react, and it just
things drop. They're like, well, we tried, we lost. But the thing is, I just think it's everyone is super nervous. I think sometimes. I don't think all the players are. Yeah, I don't think Gary Cahill wants Jose out. I don't think John Terry does. I don't think Azpilicueta does. I don't think Ivanovic does. I don't think any of the defenders do.
If I had to guess which player they were talking about in that video clip, I guess it was Eden Hazard.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, but again,
I'd look at some more of the attacking players as well. I don't think Hazard would have been stupid. Well, footballers are stupid, but whether Hazard was stupid enough to make the comment that.
Well, James, you remember when he was going to come to Chelsea before Mourinho was even there? He put on Twitter that he was going to join Chelsea before they'd even announced it.
Didn't he say, I'm joining the champion?
Yeah, well, that's pretty easy to decipher, isn't it?
Everyone thought it was Man City for a short while as well. Man City fans got excited.
I think, but I think in the squad there's only a few which are maybe, upset that they're not playing, maybe, or a few who disagree with his coaching methods. But I don't think it's that many. And I think Chelsea as a whole are a team which are for the large part together. Like Mikel came out today and he said, I've grown to love Mikel. He's a bit of a Marmite figure with me. I hate him for 6 months. I'm so shit. And then I see him play and I'm like, I play a good game. And I'm like, yeah, that's what it's for. He was incredible in our Champions League win. But that was such a long time ago though.
One game.
Fucking forever. But yeah. And he came out and he was like, yeah, we're fully behind the players, it's been misreported. And, obviously this player who's come out on press, well, I don't know why you do that. What went into his head. But I think Chelsea need to, I don't know.
They need
sacking the manager. Is that actually going to solve anything? Are you actually?
I genuinely think it will.
like ever get a long-term solution.
I think you've got to find a manager who's not as almost like combative as Mourinho. You need to find like your version of Ferguson, which I don't think Mourinho is. I don't think he can build a dynasty.
The term I would apply to him is he's a fractious manager. He caused so many like frictions in everything. Like he creates like frictions with the FA. He creates frictions with with the media. He creates frictions with certain players, and he causes friction with everything. And that is I think when you've got a manager who does that, you've got a problem. Jose is brilliant at building a team. He is second to none at winning competitions. He is a hugely successful manager, but he's not a long-term manager, I don't think.
But
wrong. Maybe we'll beat Dynamo Kiev. Maybe we'll win some more games, and then we'll go on a run, and everything will be rosy. But at the moment, we're not winning games, and it doesn't feel like Chelsea Football Club does not feel a nice place to be at the moment.
James, give us the final points.
I was just going to say the one thing about these long-term Alex Ferguson managers, I don't know how much to read into that anymore, because you look at the Spanish league, for instance, and the longest-term serving manager of this millennium, and it might be of a much longer period than that, is Pep Guardiola, who was there for, 4 or 5 years? It wasn't a massively long stint. It wasn't anything close to like a Ferguson stint, and then took a year off, went to Bayern Munich. I don't think he's finding life there as easy, but maybe I do feel as more and more goes in, we end up turning more and more like maybe Spain to having shorter term managers. Like I realise that obviously beyond Ferguson, but Van Gaal's only going to be 3 years at Manchester United. Benitez back in his time was 6 years. Klopp's done 7 years at Dortmund, but probably only do 3 or 4 at Liverpool, I'd imagine. You look at these managers. I don't think long term is going to be the answer in this current period in time in football anyway for Chelsea. But it's whether there's anybody better on the market. If there's someone better on the market, sack him and get that guy in and fix it and try and get the top 4. Try and consolidate a season. If there isn't, which I think there isn't, then keep him and hope and switchings in January. If Hazard's not going to play to win, sell him.
Yeah, you see that. I actually, my verdict the other day was that we should keep Jose until January, see what he does in January, and then if it doesn't improve, then sack him. But even then, would it be worth just keeping him until the end of the season and evaluating anyway? I mean, I think now I've heard, and this is through Twitter and other media sources, that Jose's got a week. I heard that if Jose doesn't win his next 2 games, I reckon he'll be gone. They reckon he'll be gone, and I think we talked about this before when Liverpool got rid of Brendan Rodgers. Usually, when you get rid of a manager, it doesn't really matter who comes in, to some extent, because the players just instantly improve. So whether that would be something that Chelsea would like at this moment in time, even if we've got someone just an interim, because then the players know he's gone anyway. I don't know.
Well, my last point would really be that Europe is paramount now to Jose Mourinho at Chelsea. Absolutely paramount for the Champions League campaign.
Yeah, okay, that's a good point to leave it on. We promised not to speak about Chelsea so much last time, as it's dominated all our podcasts so far. Thank you and goodbye.